Before I get started on this guide, I just have a couple things I want to say in advance and kind of out of context, which I apologize for. But this is all pretty important stuff that I think I should go over first before I go over the bulk of the information. I was kind of hoping this video would be like a definitive guide of how to do these Josh's Frogs fruit fly cultures, specifically the Hydei fruit fly cultures. But I myself have had a lot of flaws throughout all of my fruit fly cultures I've made. I've been doing this for about a month, and especially when it comes to mold, I can't seem to find a solid answer yet. Here's an example of some of the mold on one that my dad made, but it's nothing super bad because, as you could tell, I have more fruit flies than I know what to do with. So this guide still works, I just can't seem to find an answer on how to prevent molding. My only guess is using reverse osmosis water, which it says to on the front of the packaging. So if you're watching this and you want to try something to avoid the molding, you should try reverse osmosis water. It has to be boiling. I'll get into the steps later. But please, if you find any alternatives or you try that out, let me know in the comments and let everybody else know, because comments can come in handy if you're having some trouble. Like I said, the flies are booming regardless. Let me get a container. We started out with one, and they're kind of brown because they're definitely over a month old now, but they still got flies in them. We turned it into many more. That's about all I have to say, and now I'm ready to show you guys actually how to do this. I'm going to show you how to get more fruit flies than you know what to do with, and I wish you luck on your fruit fly journey. Thank you for your patience, and now I'm going to get into how to make these Hydei fruit fly cultures. So I bought the Josh's Frogs Hydei fruit fly cultures starter kit, and I was pleasantly surprised with how much it included. It comes with all the essentials. You got your original Hydei fruit fly culture, some extra cups, lids, and labels, Excelsior wood, which the flies use to climb around on, and of course your Hydei fruit fly media mix. This is all the nutrients that the flies are going to be living off of and nesting in. One very important thing I want to address. This starter kit is specifically for Hydei fruit flies only. There's two kinds of feeder fruit flies you'll commonly see for sale. The first one is Drosophila melanogaster, which are very tiny. These are not the right flies for this kit. The second species of fly is Drosophila hydei. These fruit flies are considerably larger and darker than the melanogasters. The Hydei flies are correct for this kit, so make sure you have the correct kind of fruit fly in mind. With that being said, I already made a few cultures before shooting this footage, and they stayed fresh for many weeks. And the original culture I got in the mail was still exploding with flies. I made several batches of flies over the last couple of weeks, so you'll see a mix of footage. With all that being said, let's get started. Start out by taking a bundle of Excelsior grass and shaping it into a light ball. Enough grass for the fruit flies to traverse through, and fit it to your empty container. It shouldn't be too packed or too close to the top of the lid. When you do that, take it out and keep it to the side for later. Start boiling some water. I used distilled water, but the package says use reverse osmosis water. Then you're going to shake up your bag of Josh's Frogs fruit fly media. The instructions on the front of the bag are the most efficient, so follow all the measurements and steps on there. Shake it up well, and measure out half a cup of media and pour it into your container. Make sure it's spread evenly. Once your water is boiled, you're going to measure out 3/4 cup of water and pour it slowly and evenly into the container while it's still hot. The most efficient way to do this is to let it soak through for about 30 minutes without having to mix it, but I still ended up having to mix this one together for it to soak through a little more to the bottom. I don't recommend mixing it entirely as soon as you combine them. It's very difficult and tedious, although the results are about the same. A good test to make sure it's correctly made is to hold it upside down, which can be a gamble, but at the right consistency and with the right confidence, it shouldn't come out of the container at all. Put the Excelsior grass bundle from before on top of the media once it's soaked all the way through. You're going to be adding your flies into this next, so make sure it's not steaming hot still, or else you're going to kill the flies. It could still be warm. Next, take the original fruit fly culture you got. I'm using the one from the package still. and place it in the fridge for about 10 to 15 minutes. This will put the flies in a motionless state where they won't be moving as much. Remove your fruit fly culture from the fridge. The flies inside should be motionless, kind of frozen in place. I recommend about 50 flies to start out a new culture. Put some flies into a separate empty container and start by knocking the lid because they always cling to that. Close that original culture before the flies wake up, and they wake up quick. Like I said, make sure the culture isn't steaming hot from the boiling water, as this will kill the flies immediately. Pour the collection of flies you just got into the new culture you made, and make sure you don't squish any when you're closing the lid. Careful when you're snapping the lids down, as both the lids and the containers are flimsy, but Josh's Frogs provided me with their brand lids once I requested them. This is what a fresh fruit fly culture should look like as soon as you're done. This was made on May 8th, and here's the other I mixed on April 9th. Make sure you label the dates of when you made the culture. You'll thank yourself later. And with that, you have a fresh fruit fly culture. It'll take a couple of weeks for them to reproduce and boom, so now you just give them time to do their thing. The ideal and recommended temperatures to store them in is 70 to 80 degrees, because the cooler environment you keep them in, the slower it reproduces, the longer these last, and high temperatures can sterilize cultures, so you want to try and keep them on the lower side of 70 to 80 degrees. Although in a few weeks these cultures will start turning brown, that's exactly what they're supposed to do. Just look closely every so often if you can spot larvae or flies still buzzing around on the inside. The only tip I have in the meantime is if you're opening a culture, put it in the fridge for a while first. We jump a month ahead. We can see a lot of the cultures that were fresh are browning, but they're still full of flies and larvae. The culture I made most recently is developing mold, but it's fine otherwise. I'm just giving it more time for the flies to reproduce before I use them. I'd say that's just about everything you need to know for these fruit fly cultures. Hopefully you end up as fruitful as me. I got too many, I don't know what to do. If you're like me and you got more than you know what to do with, I would try selling them or giving them out to friends or locals that need them. I found somebody who needed some help, so I gave them some fruit flies, and in return they gave me a couple topwater moss plants. It helps. With all that being said, I hope you enjoy your fruit flies. I hope your funny fellas love them just as much, if not more. Leave any comments below if you have feedback or if you have any questions. And thank you guys for watching, and I hope this proved helpful to some people, and I will see you guys in my next video. My next big project is upgrading the crested gecko to a bigger tank, so if that sounds interesting to you, subscribe and keep an eye out for the next few uploads.